My face wasn't mine anymore. I discovered this on a Tuesday morning in November 2023, when my phone started vibrating so violently it fell off my nightstand. 53 notifications in rapid succession, all from my Twitch community members sending frantic messages. Maya, please tell me this isn't real. Someone is impersonating you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Each message more desperate than the last. And when I finally opened the links they were sending, I saw myself. My actual face, my voice, my mannerisms, everything that me recognizably Maya Singh. Performing in explicit pornographic videos I'd never filmed, had never consented to, had never even imagined. And the sick, plummeting realization hit me that someone had stolen my identity so completely that thousands of people online now believed they were watching me in the most vulnerable, degrading scenarios possible. And my career, my reputation, my sense of safety in my own body, all of it was being destroyed in real time by deepfake technology I'd only read about in tech journals, never imagining I'd become its victim. The videos had been posted across multiple adult content platforms within hours, already viewed over 200,000 times, and sitting in my DMs was an anonymous message from an account called Ghostwriter, a name I recognized immediately as my most supportive online friend, someone I'd trusted for over a year, demanding $100,000 in cryptocurrency within 72 hours, or he'd release even more content, tag my sponsors, send it to my family, and make sure that when anyone searched my name, all they'd find would be pornographic deepfakes that would follow me forever. My name is Maya Singh. I'm 27 years old, and until that Tuesday morning, I was a successful Twitch streamer and content creator in Los Angeles with 340,000 followers, lucrative sponsorship deals with tech companies and gaming brands, and a community I'd built over 5 years of consistent streaming, genuine connection, and endless hours of creating content I was proud of. By Tuesday afternoon, I was the woman whose face had been stolen, whose voice had been synthesized, whose career was being systematically destroyed by someone I'd thought was my friend. Ghostwriter had entered my life in early 2022. His first message was simple, supportive. Just wanted to say your Metal Gear retrospective was brilliant. The analysis of Kojima's narrative techniques was grad-level quality. You don't see that depth often on Twitch. It was specific enough to feel genuine, articulate enough to stand out from the usual stream chat comments that were either praise without substance or harassment without reason. I responded, thanking him, and over the following months, he became a fixture in my community. He was always there. Every stream, every YouTube video, every Discord conversation. Ghostwriter, the username suggesting someone who worked behind the scenes, helping others find their voice, seemed to genuinely care about my success. He wasn't just a passive viewer. He engaged thoughtfully, asked intelligent questions, shared resources that actually helped my content improve. In March 2022, he sent me a detailed breakdown of my streaming metrics, noting patterns in viewer retention I hadn't noticed. Your audience drops off around the 45-minute mark most streams. Might be worth adding a midstream interaction point, polls, Q&A segment, something to re-engage. Just a thought. It worked. My retention improved. I thanked him publicly, crediting Ghostwriter's analytics eye. That's when the data extraction began, though I didn't recognize it at the time. April 2022. Hey Maya, working on a fan project. Would you be willing to record a quick birthday message for my sister Emma? She's 15, huge fan of your content, it would make her year. I recorded a 30-second video. Hey Emma, happy 15th birthday. Ghostwriter tells me you're an amazing artist. Keep creating, stay awesome, and thanks for being part of the community. I thought I was being kind. He was collecting clean voice samples. May 2022, random question. What's your skincare routine? My girlfriend's trying to get into streaming and wants to know how you handle the lighting camera setup for that clean look. I explained my setup, camera angle, ring light positioning, the specific foundation I used to avoid shininess. He was learning facial details, how I looked under different lighting conditions, gathering reference data for 3D modeling. June 2022. Crazy favor to ask. I'm putting together a community montage video for your 2-year streaming anniversary, and I need high-res photos from different angles for the editing. Could you send a few? Front-facing, profile, maybe one candid shot? No pressure if that's weird. It wasn't weird, it was thoughtful. I sent him 6 photos from different angles. Perfect 3D facial mapping reference material. July 2022. Your laugh is so distinctive, very genuine. Have you ever thought about doing ASMR content? Your voice has that quality. Seemingly random compliment. Actually, studying vocal characteristics, identifying what made my voice unique, and how to recreate it. The requests continued, each one innocuous, each one building his data collection. He asked about my childhood for a community trivia game, about streamers' backgrounds. I gave him details about growing up in Los Angeles, my parents' tech industry jobs, my younger brother who was studying computer science at UCLA. Information that would later appear in blackmail threats mentioning my family by name. He asked about my daily routine for a productivity tips video he was making. I described my schedule, when I streamed, when I edited, my morning coffee shop routine at the Starbucks on Wilshire Boulevard. Information that would later make his threats feel more invasive, more personal, because he knew exactly where I'd be and when. By October 2022, Ghostwriter had been in my community for 8 months. He'd sent me hundreds of messages, all carefully crafted to seem supportive, insightful, helpful. He'd integrated himself into my Discord server, becoming a moderator after demonstrating consistent, thoughtful community management. I trusted him enough to give him moderator permissions, which meant access to private channels, direct message logs, detailed community data. Looking back through those 18 months of interactions after I discovered the truth, I could see the manipulation timeline clearly. Months 1 to 3, establish credibility through genuine, helpful engagement. Months 4 to 7, begin subtle data extraction disguised as community projects or personal requests. Months 8 to 12, deepen trust through increased responsibility, moderator status, and personal conversations. Months 13 to 18, final data gathering phase while maintaining the friend relationship, preparing for the attack. November 2022. Hey, I know this might sound forward, but I consider us actually friends at this point. Like, beyond the streamer-viewer dynamic. You're just genuinely a good person, and I appreciate that you take time to actually talk to your community members like humans. The message made me feel valued, seen beyond my content creation. It was manipulation, making me feel indebted to him, making the relationship feel reciprocal, so I'd be more willing to share personal information. He'd ask about my dating life, my family dynamics, my anxieties about my career. I'd share, thinking this was genuine friendship. Thinking online connections could be as real as offline ones. And in some cases, they can be. I have actual friends I met through streaming, but Ghostwriter was different. He was a predator conducting a long-term social engineering operation, and I was his primary target. December 2022. Working on a surprise project for you. Compiling clips of your best moments from this year. Need permission to download your VODs in full quality for editing. That cool? I gave him access to download high-quality recordings of every stream I'd done that year. Hundreds of hours of footage showing my facial expressions, voice patterns, mannerisms, speech quirks, everything an AI algorithm would need to create a convincing deepfake. January 2023. He sent me a beautifully edited montage video of my streaming year. It was set to music, showed my growth as a creator, included community testimonials from other viewers. It was touching. I cried watching it. I posted it publicly, crediting Ghostwriter, praising his editing skills and his friendship. That video got 50,000 views. Ghostwriter got public recognition and deeper trust. And he had all the source material he needed to start training his deepfake models. The final 6 months before the attack were maintenance mode. He stayed active, stayed supportive, occasionally requested small things. Voice samples for podcast intro ideas, photos for thumbnail concepts, details about my apartment for a streamer setup guide he was supposedly writing. Each request seemed reasonable. Each one fed the machine he was building. When the deepfakes appeared in November 2023, 18 months after his first message, they were so convincing because he'd spent that entire year and a half studying me. Not just my face, but how I moved, how I spoke, what expressions I made when I was happy or confused or focused. He'd analyzed hundreds of hours of footage, extracted thousands of frames, trained custom AI models specifically on me. The blackmail message's clinical tone. We've been friends for a while now, you trusted me. Wasn't just manipulation. It was victory statement. He'd executed a perfect long con and he wanted me to know it. Wanted me to feel the betrayal deeply. To understand how completely I'd been played. And I had been played. Perfectly. Systematically. By someone who'd studied not just the technical aspects of deepfake creation, but the social engineering required to gather the necessary data without raising suspicion. The videos were sophisticated, not the obviously fake, poorly rendered deepfakes I'd seen exposed online. These were high-quality, convincing, created with clearly extensive training data. My facial expressions were accurate. The way I smiled, the specific way my eyes crinkled when I laughed, even my speech patterns and verbal tics. Someone who'd studied me obsessively had fed hundreds of hours of my content into AI algorithms, training them to recreate me perfectly. The blackmail message was clinical, detached, almost businesslike. Maya, I know you recognize this account. We've been friends for a while now. You trusted me. That trust gave me everything I needed. Voice samples, facial data, personal information. The videos currently online are just a sample. I have hours more prepared. $100,000 in Bitcoin to the wallet address below within 72 hours. Or I release everything. Your sponsors will drop you. Your family will see them. Every future employer will find them. Your name will be synonymous with pornography you never created. I control your digital identity now. Pay up, or I destroy what's left of your career, your move. I sat on my apartment floor in Los Angeles, my phone still buzzing with notifications, and I felt something I'd never experienced. Complete violation. Not just of my image or my career, but of my autonomy. Someone had taken my face, my voice, my identity, and weaponized them against me. And the worst part was knowing that even if I paid, he'd never stop. Blackmailers never stop. The money would run out and he'd demand more, holding my stolen face hostage forever. I had two choices: pay and accept permanent victimhood, or fight back and risk losing everything. I chose to fight. The first call I made was to my best friend and fellow content creator, Priya Malhotra, who'd been in the streaming community for 8 years and had survived her own harassment campaigns. She came to my apartment within 30 minutes, found me still on the floor, surrounded by my laptop and phone, and immediately took control. Okay, she said, her voice steady and practical. First thing, we're not engaging with him. No responses, no negotiations. Second thing, we're documenting everything. Screenshots of every message, every video upload, every interaction you've ever had with this ghostwriter account. Third thing, we're getting you a lawyer who specializes in cybercrimes, and we're reporting this to the FBI. This isn't just harassment, Maya. This is extortion. Revenge porn laws probably apply to deepfakes and possibly cyberstalking. We're not treating this like internet drama. We're treating this like the federal crime it is. She was right. But I also knew the FBI moves slowly, and my career was dying in real time. By the end of that first day, 2 of my sponsors had already sent termination emails, citing brand image concerns and the need to distance from controversial content. The fact that the content was fake, that I was a victim, didn't matter to them. The association alone was enough. That's when Priya suggested something that would change everything. Your community. They're tech-savvy, loyal, and pissed off on your behalf. Let them help. I posted a video that evening. No makeup, eyes red from crying but voice steady. I explained everything. The deepfakes, the blackmail, ghostwriters' long-game manipulation. I showed the fake videos side by side with my real content, pointing out subtle tells in the deepfakes. The way my eyes didn't quite track properly, slight discrepancies in skin texture, audio sync issues that were nearly imperceptible but present. And then I made a request. I'm not paying. I'm not letting someone terrorize me into silence. But I need help. If you have skills in digital forensics, cybersecurity, or you just know how to trace online activity, I'm asking for your help. Let's find out who Ghostwriter really is. Let's prove that deepfake harassment has consequences, and let's make sure this doesn't happen to other creators. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, I had a Discord channel with over 2,000 community members dedicated to investigating. cybersecurity professionals, ethical hackers, college students studying computer science, amateur detectives who'd helped solve online mysteries before. They called themselves the ghost hunters, and they were relentless. But I also needed professional help. Priya connected me with someone she'd worked with before, Marcus Chen, a digital forensics expert who'd testified in federal cybercrimes cases. He ran a small firm in San Francisco, specializing in tracking online predators and building cases that held up in court. Our first meeting was via Zoom. Marcus was in his 40s, calm and analytical, with the air of someone who'd seen every type of online evil and wasn't shocked anymore. Maya, I've reviewed the deepfakes and the blackmail messages. This isn't amateur work. Whoever created these has significant technical skills and substantial resources. The quality of these deepfakes suggests either professional-grade software or extensive training on custom models. The blackmail approach, demanding cryptocurrency using anonymizing tools, shows sophistication. But sophisticated criminals make sophisticated mistakes. We're going to find them. He explained his strategy. Trace ghostwriter's digital footprint backwards from multiple starting points. The blackmail message had metadata we could analyze. The deepfake videos themselves contained forensic markers, artifacts in the rendering process unique to specific software or algorithms. The Bitcoin wallet address could be monitored for transactions. Most importantly, ghostwriter's year-long interaction with me meant hundreds of data points. Message timestamps, IP addresses, behavioral patterns. People think they're anonymous online, Marcus said, but digital anonymity is an illusion. Every action leaves traces. Our job is finding enough traces to establish an identity. The ghost hunters community, meanwhile, was conducting their own investigation. They'd compiled a complete archive of every interaction I'd ever had with Ghostwriter. Over 1,800 messages spanning 18 months. They analyzed timestamps, looking for patterns in when he was active. They compared his writing style to known databases of online harassment cases. They examined metadata from photos he'd sent me, looking for geolocation data or device information. One community member, a grad student named Kevin, specializing in AI and machine learning, analyzed the deepfake videos themselves. The rendering artifacts suggest this was made with a fork of Deepfake Lab, probably a modified version that's been circulating on certain dark web forums. There are specific compression patterns and pixel-level tells that match deepfakes created with that particular fork. If we can identify other deepfakes created with the same modified software, we might find a pattern. And they did. Within 3 days, the ghost hunters discovered 7 other female streamers and content creators who'd been targeted with similar deepfake harassment. Not all of them had received blackmail demands. Some had just been victims of harassment campaigns where fake pornographic content was created and distributed to humiliate them. But the technical signatures matched. Same modified software, same methodical approach to data gathering before the attack. All 8 of us had something in common. We'd all interacted with accounts that fit Ghostwriter's behavioral pattern. Patient, supportive, gradually extracting personal information over months. The usernames were different, but the approach was identical. We weren't dealing with one-off harassment. This was systematic, calculated. A serial predator targeting female content creators. Marcus brought in federal authorities, the FBI's cybercrime division, specifically agents who specialized in online sexual exploitation. The existence of multiple victims with documented evidence turned this from a single harassment case into a federal investigation of a serial cybercriminal. Special Agent Lisa Rodriguez met with me and 3 other victims via secure video conference. She was direct, professional, and clearly invested in stopping whoever was behind this. What you've documented is exactly what we need for a solid case. Multiple victims, a clear pattern of behavior, technical evidence, financial extortion. This person made a mistake targeting content creators. You all have comprehensive digital records of your interactions. Most predators target people who don't have that documentation. But we need to identify him. That's where Mr. Chen's forensic work becomes crucial. Marcus's investigation had been methodical and revelatory. He'd traced the Bitcoin wallet address from the blackmail message, discovering it had received payments from 3 previous transactions. presumably from other victims who'd paid rather than fight. Those transactions, while pseudo-anonymous, came from cryptocurrency exchanges that required some form of identity verification under anti-money laundering regulations. While the transactions themselves couldn't be directly traced to individuals, the originating wallets had been used in other contexts where identity information could be cross-referenced. Criminals always make the same mistake, Marcus explained during one of our daily strategy calls. They create one identity for their crimes, then use that same identity in legitimate contexts. Alex used this Bitcoin wallet to receive blackmail payments. But he also used wallets connected to this same identity cluster to purchase rendering software, cloud computing services for AI training, and domain hosting for websites. Each purchase left breadcrumbs. He'd also found something crucial in the message metadata. Timestamp analysis revealed that Ghostwriter was almost certainly operating from the Pacific time zone, with activity patterns suggesting someone who worked a regular 9-to-5 job and conducted his harassment during evening hours and weekends. His messages to me were clustered between 6 p.m. and midnight Pacific time on weekdays, with extended activity on weekends. That suggested a day job, probably in tech given his skills and West Coast location. The IP addresses from Ghostwriter's messages weren't directly traceable. He'd used VPNs and other anonymizing services consistently. But VPNs aren't perfect. They occasionally leak data, especially during connection establishment or unexpected disconnections. During the 18 months of communication, Marcus identified 3 instances where Ghostwriter's real IP address had briefly appeared in connection metadata, each time from the same general region, Orange County, California. More specifically, 2 leaks from residential IP addresses in Irvine, one from a corporate network traced to a tech company office park in the same area. Meanwhile, the Ghost Hunters community was conducting parallel investigations that were remarkably effective. Kevin, the grad student specializing in AI and machine learning, had become the de facto technical lead for the community's analysis. The deepfake videos have forensic signatures, Kevin explained during a Discord voice call with 20 other community members. Every AI model leaves traces, artifacts in how it renders lighting, subtle pixel-level patterns in skin texture, the way it handles motion blur. These aren't visible to human eyes, but computational analysis can detect them. The deepfakes of Maya were created with a modified version of DeepFaceLab, a popular open-source deepfake tool. But this isn't the standard version. Someone forked the code, modified the algorithms, and has been using this custom version. He'd analyzed the rendering artifacts frame by frame, identifying specific compression patterns and pixel-level tells that matched a particular software fork. Then he did something brilliant. He searched for other deepfakes online with the same technical signature. He found them. 7 other female streamers and content creators had been targeted with deepfake harassment campaigns showing the exact same algorithmic fingerprint. Not all had received blackmail demands. Some were just victims of harassment campaigns where fake pornographic content was created and distributed to humiliate them. But the technical signatures matched perfectly. The ghost hunters reached out to these other victims. 3 responded immediately, desperate for help. 2 others had been too traumatized to engage. One had paid the blackmail and was terrified of retaliation if she came forward. Sarah Chen, a gaming streamer from Seattle with 180,000 followers, had been attacked 6 months before me. I received an anonymous message saying deepfakes of me would be released unless I paid $75,000. I paid. I thought it would end there. But 2 months later, he came back demanding $50,000 more. I paid again. Then he demanded $100,000. That's when I realized he'd never stop. I had no money left. The deepfakes were released anyway. I lost all my sponsors, most of my community. I almost stopped streaming entirely. Jessica Rodriguez, a YouTube tech reviewer with 420,000 subscribers, had her deepfakes distributed without any blackmail attempt. It was pure harassment. The videos were posted on adult sites, tagged with my real name, linked to my YouTube channel. My comment sections were flooded with people calling me a hypocrite, questioning my credibility. I spent $30,000 on lawyers trying to get the content removed, but it kept reappearing on new sites. It destroyed my mental health. Asha Patel, a Twitch variety streamer with 95,000 followers, had been targeted 3 months before me. He approached me the same way. Friendly supporter for almost a year, slowly collecting data. When the blackmail message came, I went to the police immediately. They told me there wasn't much they could do because deepfakes weren't explicitly illegal, and the person was anonymous. I felt completely helpless. All 8 of us had something in common beyond being victims. We'd all interacted with accounts that fit ghostwriter's behavioral pattern. Patient, supportive, gradually extracting personal information over months. The usernames were different. Ghostwriter for me, Phantom Friend for Sarah, Shadow Supporter for Jessica, Echo Voice for Aisha, but the approach was identical. Same methodology, same timeline, same requests for voice samples and photos disguised as community projects or fan requests. We weren't dealing with isolated incidents. This was systematic, calculated, a serial predator targeting female content creators with a refined technique he'd perfected over at least 2 years. Marcus brought in federal authorities at this point, the FBI's cybercrime division, specifically agents who specialized in online sexual exploitation and emerging technology crimes. The existence of multiple victims with documented evidence transformed this from a single harassment case into a federal investigation of a serial cybercriminal. Special Agent Lisa Rodriguez met with me and 3 other victims via secure video conference. She was in her early 40s, direct, professional, and clearly invested in stopping whoever was behind this. Her background was in prosecuting child exploitation cases, and she approached deepfake harassment with the same seriousness. "What you've documented is exactly what we need for a solid case," Agent Rodriguez said, her screen showing a professional but clearly angry woman who understood the severity of what we'd experienced. Multiple victims, a clear pattern of behavior, technical evidence linking the cases, financial extortion with traceable cryptocurrency. This person made a critical mistake targeting content creators. You all have comprehensive digital records of your interactions. Most online predators target people who don't maintain that level of documentation. But we need to identify him. That's where Mr. Chen's forensic work and your community's technical analysis become crucial. The investigation now had official federal backing, which meant subpoena power, access to sealed records, and the ability to compel cooperation from tech companies and financial institutions that had previously claimed they couldn't help without a warrant. Kevin's analysis of the deepfake software fork paid off in unexpected ways. The specific version of modified Deepfake Lab used to create the videos was being actively developed and shared on a private Discord server called AI Artistry, ostensibly dedicated to AI-generated art, but actually focused on non-consensual deepfake creation and sharing. The server had about 300 members, all operating under pseudonyms, sharing techniques and custom software modifications. Agent Rodriguez obtained a warrant for Discord to reveal the server's user information. What they found was a community of predators, many of whom were creating and distributing non-consensual deepfakes of women they knew personally. Ex-girlfriends, classmates, coworkers, public figures. The server's moderator and most active contributor was a user named EtherGhost. EtherGhost wasn't just using the modified Deepfake Lab software, he was actively developing it, sharing updates, and offering custom content creation services in private messages to other server members. Essentially, he was creating deepfakes for hire, charging other predators to make fake pornography of specific women. Marcus and the FBI team analyzed EtherGhost's activity patterns, writing style, and technical knowledge. They matched ghostwriter's patterns perfectly. Same vocabulary, same technical expertise, same time zone activity clusters, even similar syntax patterns that linguistic analysis software could detect. More importantly, EtherGhost had made critical operational security mistakes. Several of his posts contained screenshots showing technical processes, and in those screenshots, careful examination revealed accidentally visible desktop information, file paths and dialog boxes, computer usernames and terminal windows, metadata and embedded images. One screenshot, posted to demonstrate a rendering technique, showed a file path. C. Users, a read documents, projects Deepfake Lab custom models, A. Read. First initial and last name combined with dev suggesting developer or development. The computer username was AreedDev. From there, the investigation accelerated dramatically. Cross-referencing A. Reed in Orange County, California, where the IP leaks had originated, with professional profiles matching the technical skills, AI/ML expertise, software development, access to high-end computing equipment for neural network training, led to a short list of 17 potential candidates. Marcus and the FBI team systematically investigated each one through legal channels now that they had active warrants. Employment records, LinkedIn profiles, GitHub repositories, educational backgrounds, purchase histories for technology equipment that would support deepfake creation, high-end GPUs, cloud computing subscriptions, AI software licenses. They found him on candidate number 12, Alex Reed, 28 years old, software developer at Neuraltech Solutions, a mid-sized AI company in Irvine, California. His LinkedIn profile listed expertise in deep learning, neural networks, computer vision, and generative AI. His personal GitHub contained multiple repositories related to AI/ML projects, including one private repository named Custom DFL that had been actively updated over the past 2 years, the same time frame as the deepfake harassment campaign. His employment at Neuraltech gave him access to professional-grade computing resources. His home address matched one of the residential IP leaks. His work location matched the corporate network leak. His private social media accounts, obtained through warrant, showed a disturbing pattern. Reddit posts under the username GhostDev88, expressing resentment toward female streamers and content creators, claiming they'd built careers on their looks rather than talent, and deserved to be exposed as frauds. Twitter posts from a locked account discussing how simps were ruining gaming culture by supporting female creators. Discord messages in various gaming servers making misogynistic comments about women in gaming and streaming. The FBI obtained a search warrant for Alex Reed's apartment and computers. The raid happened on January 15, 2024, at 6:45 a.m. 12 federal agents supported by local police, executing a warrant for electronic evidence in a serial cyberstalking and extortion case. What they found in Alex's 2-bedroom apartment was both devastating for the victims and validating for the investigation. His computers, 3 high-end, custom-built machines with top-tier GPUs, contained a comprehensive library of deepfake content representing at least 2 years of criminal activity. Hundreds of videos and images of dozens of female content creators beyond the 8 we'd identified, organized in folders by victim name. Each folder contained not just the finished deepfakes, but the training data. Thousands of images extracted from the victim's content, voice sample recordings, 3D facial models, algorithm training logs. His hard drives contained chat logs with other predators on the AI Artistry Discord server, discussing techniques for extracting training data without victims noticing, comparing notes on which AI models produced the most convincing results, and sharing commissioned deepfakes he'd created for paying customers. They found financial records showing he'd received approximately $340,000 in cryptocurrency payments over 18 months. Some from blackmail victims who'd paid, others from customers paying him to create custom deepfakes of women they specified. Most damning, a folder on his desktop labeled Long Game, containing detailed documentation of his systematic approach to targeting victims. Spreadsheets tracking each target, their usernames, follower counts, estimated income from sponsors, personality traits, vulnerability assessments, and timelines for data collection. His notes on me: high follower count, strong community, trusting personality, estimated income $120K per year from sponsors, vulnerability, values online friendships, responds well to intellectual engagement, timeline, 12 to 18 months data collection, then extract maximum payment. Predicted compliance, 60%. He'd been documenting his own crimes with the pride of someone who thought he was untouchable, someone who believed online anonymity was absolute and that his technical skills placed him above consequences. Alex Reed was arrested that day and charged with multiple federal counts: cyberstalking, 8 counts, 1 per victim; extortion, 4 counts for those he'd directly blackmailed; and distribution of non-consensual deepfake pornography under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. The LA District Attorney added state charges as well, ensuring he'd face consequences even if federal charges somehow failed. The trial began in August 2024, 8 months after Alex's arrest. Federal Court, Central District of California, Los Angeles, United States v. Alex James Reed. The prosecution called it a landmark case on deepfake abuse and digital sexual exploitation. One of the first federal trials explicitly focused on non-consensual AI-generated pornography. The courtroom was packed. Media from major tech publications, news outlets covering emerging technology crimes, advocacy groups focused on online harassment and women's safety. The case had generated significant national attention because it represented a new frontier in digital crime, technology that allowed predators to violate victims in ways that existing laws hadn't fully anticipated. I testified on the third day of the trial. The prosecution team, led by Assistant U.S. Attorney Jennifer Martinez, had prepared me extensively. We'd practiced my testimony for hours, role-playing difficult questions the defense might ask, strategies for maintaining composure while discussing traumatic material. Walking into that courtroom felt surreal. Alex sat at the defense table in a suit, looking ordinary. Not like the monster who'd destroyed my career and mental health. Just like a normal 28-year-old tech worker who could be anyone's coworker or neighbor. That ordinariness was almost worse than if he'd looked obviously criminal. It was a reminder that predators don't advertise their nature. The prosecution began with establishing my credibility and the scope of what had been taken from me. Ms. Singh, can you tell the jury about your career before November 2023? I described 5 years of building my streaming presence. Starting with 50 viewers, growing to 340,000 followers through consistent work, genuine engagement, strategic content creation. I explained the sponsorship deals, tech companies, gaming peripherals, streaming equipment brands that had collectively paid me approximately $180,000 annually. I detailed the community I'd built, the Discord server with 15,000 members, the relationships with other creators, the sense of purpose I'd found in creating content that entertained and informed people. And how did you first encounter the defendant? I recounted Ghostwriter's first message, the 18-month progression of our friendship, the systematic way he'd extracted data while building my trust. I explained how content creators often develop genuine relationships with community members, how the line between professional and personal can blur in online spaces, how his manipulation exploited not just my naivety, but my genuine desire to connect with people who supported my work. What happened on November 14, 2023? I described finding the deepfakes, 53 notifications, my face performing sexual acts I'd never consented to, the immediate nausea, the sense of violation that felt physical despite being digital. I explained how deepfakes aren't just fake videos. They're weapons that feel as violating as physical assault because they strip away your autonomy over your own image, your own body, your own identity. 2 sponsors dropped me within hours, I testified, my voice steady despite the emotion. By the end of that week, I'd lost all 6 major sponsorships, $180,000 in annual income, gone. But the financial damage wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was knowing that thousands of people online now believed they'd seen me in pornographic content. That my face, my voice, my identity had been stolen so completely that I couldn't convince people the videos weren't real. That every time someone searched my name, they'd find deepfake pornography alongside my legitimate work. The prosecution introduced the blackmail message. The courtroom screens showed Ghostwriter's demand, $100,000 or total career destruction. Did you pay? No. Because I knew paying wouldn't make it stop. Blackmailers don't just take payment and disappear, they come back. Again and again. Paying would have made me a victim forever. What did you do instead? I fought back. I used my community, hired digital forensics experts, worked with the FBI, and spent 8 months tracking down the person who'd stolen my identity. The defense attorney, a man named Richard Cortez who specialized in tech-related criminal cases, began his cross-examination trying to undermine my credibility and suggest I'd somehow been complicit. Ms. Singh, you sent the defendant numerous personal photos over the course of your friendship, correct? I sent photos he requested for what he claimed were community projects, birthday videos, fan art references, a community montage. requests that seemed legitimate and were completely normal in streaming communities. But you chose to send them. No one forced you. No one forced me, but they were obtained through deception. He lied about why he wanted them. That's not consent, Mr. Cortez. That's fraud. You also granted him moderator status on your Discord server, giving him access to private channels and direct messages from your community members. That seems like an extreme level of trust for someone you'd only known online. I trusted him because he'd spent 18 months building that trust. That was the point. He was patient, calculated. He studied how to manipulate me specifically. Yes, I trusted him. That's not my failure, that's his crime. Cortez tried to suggest that as a public figure, I'd accepted certain risks by being online, that I should have been more cautious about data security, that perhaps my own negligence had contributed to what happened. Let me be very clear, I said, leaning forward slightly, making direct eye contact with the jury. Nothing I did justified what he did. Nothing. I could have posted my entire photo album online, and that still wouldn't have given him the right to create pornographic deepfakes of me. I could have been the least security-conscious person in the world, and that still wouldn't make his actions my fault. Blaming victims for predators' crimes is exactly how predators continue to operate. It's how they silence us. The prosecution rested after 4 days of testimony from me and other victims, expert witnesses on deepfake technology, and FBI agents detailing the investigation. Then came the defense's turn. Alex's defense strategy became clear quickly. Minimize the harm, claim artistic intent, argue that deepfakes were just technology without real victims. Cortez called witnesses who testified about deepfake technology being used in legitimate filmmaking and entertainment. He tried to suggest that Alex was simply an AI enthusiast who'd gotten carried away but hadn't intended real harm. Then the prosecution began their rebuttal, and they eviscerated that defense with Alex's own words. They showed the jury the long game folder. Alex's spreadsheet of targets with vulnerability assessments and predicted compliance rates. His notes describing me as having a trusting personality that made me a good mark. His financial records showing $340,000 in blackmail and commissioned deepfake income. His chat logs with other predators discussing which victims had paid, which had resisted, which could be pushed harder. This isn't art, Attorney Martinez said, her voice sharp with controlled anger. This is systematic exploitation documented by the defendant himself. He targeted women, studied them, violated them, then extorted them. He did it for profit. He did it for control. He did it because he enjoyed destroying women's careers and lives. That's not artistic expression. That's predatory criminal behavior. The jury's faces showed the impact. Several jurors were visibly angry. 2 women on the jury had tears in their eyes when they heard Alex's own words describing his victims as targets to be exploited. The verdict came back after only 6 hours of deliberation. The speed suggested the jury hadn't struggled with their decision at all. Judge Michael Hernandez sentenced him to 7 years in federal prison, the maximum allowed under current law. Mr. Reed, you weaponized technology to violate, terrorize, and extort vulnerable individuals. You showed no remorse. You documented your crimes with pride. This court hopes your sentence sends a clear message. Deepfake harassment has serious consequences, and the law will evolve to meet this threat. Alex was ordered to pay $1 million in restitution to the 8 victims, though we all knew we'd never see most of that money. His assets, mostly computer equipment and some cryptocurrency he'd been dumb enough to leave in traceable wallets, were seized and liquidated. But more important than the money was the precedent. Alex Reed's case became the first successful federal prosecution of deepfake sexual exploitation. It made national news. CNN, New York Times, Wired, every major tech publication covered it as a landmark ruling. And it gave me purpose. I founded Digital Dignity 6 months after the verdict, a nonprofit dedicated to combating deepfake abuse, providing legal and technical support for victims, and advocating for stronger federal legislation. We've helped over 200 victims since launching. We've partnered with tech platforms to develop better detection systems for deepfake content. We've worked with Congress on proposed legislation that would make non-consensual deepfake creation explicitly illegal with serious criminal penalties. I rebuilt my streaming career, though it looks different now. My content focuses on digital ethics, online safety, and empowering creators to protect themselves. My community, the ghost hunters who helped me track down Alex, remained active, now helping other victims identify and report deepfake harassment. The deepfakes Alex created still exist somewhere online. That's the permanent scar of this technology. Once something is uploaded, it never fully disappears. But search algorithms have gotten better at identifying and downranking fake content. My name now brings up my work with digital dignity before it brings up the deepfakes. I've reclaimed my digital identity through volume of authentic content, drowning out the violations with proof of who I really am. My face is mine again, not because the technology ceased to exist or the deepfakes were erased, but because I fought back, because I refused to be victimized in silence, because I turned violation into advocacy and trauma into purpose. Ghostwriter thought he was anonymous, untouchable behind layers of digital obfuscation. He thought deepfakes were the perfect crime. How do you prove harm from images that never existed? But digital forensics is patient. Communities are powerful, and every criminal, no matter how sophisticated, leaves traces. Alex Reed sits in federal prison now. 7 years to contemplate how his art destroyed lives. 7 years during which the laws around deepfake abuse continue to strengthen, the technology to detect them continues to improve, and the cultural understanding of this violation continues to evolve. He stole my face. I took his freedom. And I made sure that when his name is searched online, all anyone finds is a landmark case about justice, not anonymity. About victims who fought back. About technology being a weapon only when we allow it to be. The ghost in the machine had a name, had an address, had consequences. And every victim of deepfake abuse deserves to know. You are not powerless. The technology is sophisticated, but justice can be more sophisticated. The violation is real, but so is recourse. Your digital identity is yours. And when someone tries to steal it, you fight back with every tool available. Community, forensics, law, and the absolute refusal to be erased. That's what I learned. That's what I teach. That's how you beat a ghost.